Adam, I've got some great news for you.
What's up, Jesse? Tell me the news.
Inside Fighting has partnered up with DraftKings.
Shut up. But both of us, what do we get out of it?
Well, we don't get anything, but the people out there, they do. Because right now, if they're a new DraftKings customer, all they have to do is go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, bet $5 on literally any bet, on anything they want on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and they get $150 in bonus bets instantly with promo code INSIDEFIGHTING.
Damn, $150 in bonus bets. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I personally, I love DraftKings because sports betting isn't available here. So what I can do is I can actually just use their daily fantasy option, which is great.
Exactly right. So once again, all you got to do, go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. If you're a new DraftKings customer, bet $5 on any bet, and you get $150 in bonus bets instantly using promo code INSIDEFIGHTING. We're joined by UFC bantamweight Cody Gibson fighting Brian Kelleher, UFC Vegas 94. Cody, thanks again for joining me, man. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jesse. Always good to talk to you, man. Doing well. Just ready to got about, well, the rest of this week is the last full week of training, and then next week it's fly to Vegas and do the things you're obligated to do, but for the most part just make weight, and yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, you're down in Orange County area? Is that where you are?
I'm in the Central Coast, so we're about.
Oh, you're Central Coast. Okay, got it.
We're near San Luis Obispo and Cal Poly, and
that's what it was. Yeah, I was thinking of San Clemente. That's why I got it mixed up. Yeah, San Luis Obispo. That's right. Well, it's been a while since I've talked to you, but in the time since I've talked to you, I just have to get this out of the way. A little housekeeping. You've had a new baby boy. Congratulations, man. That's happy for you. How's that going?
It's going good. He's growing. A little over 3 months now. So yeah, he was born. My last fight was in March, and then he was born a couple of days after I got home. Luckily, she didn't go into labor when I was fighting. So
I know I remember we were talking about that. That was a concern of yours. I was like, oh God, you'd have to leave on fight night. Could you imagine? That would be horrible. So I'm glad that did not happen.
Well, I told her, I was like, I love to fight, but if you go into labor when I'm in Vegas, I'm probably just going to drive from Vegas back home. It's about a 6-7 hour drive. I could probably make it in 5. I was like, I'm not going to fight. I'm just coming, or maybe I'll fight, but I'm coming home to be there with you, So it was kind of, that was definitely on my mind that week.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet. Well, you've got a big fight coming up for you, though. You're fighting Brian Kelleher, who's actually, he's a good name because he's actually fought some good guys. I mean, he's fought Umar Nurmagomedov. He's fought Cody Garbrandt. He's obviously coming off of getting knocked out by Cody Garbrandt. And, in your last fight, things didn't go your way either. Just sort of give me a breakdown of how you're feeling, adjustments that you've made, and how you're feeling about this matchup.
Yeah, I think after the last fight, it was really the first time in my career where I just felt like I really underperformed, like I just didn't show up. And I had a good training camp. There's always things in life that are obstacles, but overall I felt pretty good going into the fight and even in the back warming up. But for whatever reason, really just didn't feel like I gave my best effort, and just didn't have the same energy that I've had in most of my fights, where same level of intensity. So that's one thing I've been focused on, is coming into fight week with the right mentality that I've had in the past that has suited me well, which is kind of a chip on my shoulder, kind of like I'm here to hurt somebody. I mean, as kind of weird as that is to say, that's the mentality I like to be in. And so I'm just trying to get back there,
I mean, it's a mentality you have to have, right? In this sort of an industry, I imagine. I mean, that's why I'm not cut out to be a fighter, because I don't have that. But I mean, you got to have it to be a good one. And I think you got to cut yourself a little bit of a break. I imagine having a kid and all that going on at the same time. It's your mind was other places too, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's other things too that were going on. I lost my brother only a couple months prior.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry.
And that was hard. And I don't, but my my mentality is when you sign a contract to fight somebody, you're making a proclamation to the world that on this day I can beat this guy. That's what you're telling the world.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't sign on the dotted line to do it. And the reality is, no matter what's going on in your life, you're either right about that proclamation or you're wrong about it. And so I really, you see it all the time nowadays. We just saw it with Yuri Prohaska about the staph infection after the fight. He comes out and says he had a staph infection. And the reality is, like, the amount of things going on in guys' lives during fight weeks, every week, like, there's a card this weekend in Denver. I guarantee you there's some fighters on that card who have some personal issues going on.
Yeah.
And have to overcome it, or they don't, and like the reality is when you make that proclamation, you're either right about it or you're wrong about it. And on that night I was wrong about it. So this is a new proclamation, and I'm trying to right the ship and trying to get back on the right track, and excited to get in there and perform a little bit better than my potential.
I love that. That's actually one of the best, most, like, I don't know, in terms of how guys putting it into context in that way, I think is something that'll be refreshing for a lot of people to hear. I think Ian Gary actually said something similar once, but it was about the other guy signing the dotted line, where it's like when the other guy signs the dotted line, that's all the motivation he needs to fight that person, because he takes it personally. It's like, okay, you're signing a dotted line to fight me. That means that you think you can beat me, and it goes both ways, right? So it's good motivation.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to like just being in like the wrestling room in high school and college, and like, yeah, you've got your teammates, but you are competitive with your teammates. Like when me and Josh Emmett were at practice wrestling, I wasn't trying to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna let you win. And we're in there like two bulls just colliding, and and that was the mentality I had in wrestling. And that's kind of carried over. It is true. It is almost like a slap in the face. Like, oh, you think you can beat me? I don't know why I have that kind of emotion, but I do.
You're fighting at the Apex. It's the Apex, right?
Yeah.
Dana White said that he wants to phase out the Apex. I'm just sort of curious what your thoughts are on fighting at the Apex. There's obviously there's a variety of schools of thought on this as to why the UFC was there to begin with, let alone why they're still there. You got to fight the Ultimate Fighter finale in front of a crazy crowd. Just what are your thoughts on fighting at the Apex? Are you happy it's going to be gone eventually? Do you want them to keep it? What do you think?
I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest. I think I thrive off of an audience. Especially that fight in Boston. I mean, that place was like
it was crazy.
Feel the energy, and like it was like, I don't know how to, anyone who's ever been to like a concert that was like a killer concert, or like a sporting event that was really electric, like it has an energy to it. And I understand it from a business perspective. Like I get it. Like they signed to do so many shows with ESPN, and there are some positives to fighting at the Apex as far as like how streamlined everything is. When the UFC touches down in a city that they haven't been to, especially in a couple of years or whatever, there's some kinks, like obviously they've got their personnel who have done it before, but there's always going to be kinks. And how far are we from the venue? How, just the little things. And one of the things I noticed when I fought at the Apex, my last fight, was, man, they've really got this dialed in, So that, I guess that if you're trying to have like a silver lining, that would be the silver lining. But no, I'm never like stoked when I get the call that I'm fighting on an Apex card. I would much rather be fighting in Denver this weekend. But I'm gonna win this fight, and then I got a call out in mind, and I'm trying to get to Paris in September. So we'll see.
I love that. I'll link up with you. I'm going to be in Paris, by the way. I'll be at that card. So if you are, I'll come say what up to you. So out of curiosity, any good training partners this camp? I saw a photo of you training with Aljamain Sterling, so that was pretty cool. So just what was that like, and any other interesting training partners?
Yeah, I just we have a small team here in San Luis Obispo, the Pit. Obviously a lot of history here, but we are a relatively small team. And my last fight, I was also managing, teaching, and training. And so this fight, I've been able to focus again just solely on training. And I also took the opportunity to go to Vegas for about half the camp, a couple different trips. And I did, I wanted to utilize the resources at the PI, which were phenomenal. All the diagnostic testing and the strength and conditioning and nutritionist and recovery stuff they've got there, and just all the people there that, you got. I think one of the things that fighters, you need to humble yourself and like realize, like, what am I an expert at and what do I not know? Like, if there's people who have years of experience and degrees and can tell you about nutrition, just because I've been doing it this way doesn't necessarily mean it's the best way. So for me, it's been cool to utilize those resources that I've never had available to me, at least for free. And I got to train. I trained at Xtreme Couture while I was in Vegas, and Eric Nixick was like super welcoming, and just got to I think I sparred in 1 week, or I'm sorry, in one of the 2 week times I was there, it was because we do 6 rounds Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so I think I got 24 rounds in 2 weeks, 5-minute rounds. So I mean, that's a lot of rounds. So
That is.
My body definitely felt it, but it was cool for me to just be able to mix it up with some really high level guys and remind myself that I've still got it. And for me, it was a confidence booster more than anything. Like, just like, hey, like, you're in here with Patrick Mix and you're in here with Aljamain Sterling and all these other top level guys, and like, you're hanging, you're not getting your ass kicked. They want to train with you because you're in town, So for me, it was just like that was comforting, and it's something I feel like I needed. So it was nice. And I think another thing too, like every fight camp, like especially when you have longer fight camps that are 8, 10, 12 weeks long, that about the fight, by week 7, 8, 9, 10, especially with our little gym, and I'm training with the same guys every day, you kind of get in a lull, I guess. Like, oh, it's Tuesday. I know what I do on Tuesdays. It's these workouts and these places and these times. And it was nice to kind of have this camp broken up where I got to kind of have a reset multiple times. Like, hey, I'm in a new environment. I'm not 100% comfortable, and like, just that was for me kind of refreshing. So I think it's something I want to continue to do moving forward.
I love that. And that sounds like an Xtreme Couture thing to go 24 minutes of sparring, like to have all that sparring. Cause I know Strickland, he goes crazy with the sparring at that gym. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Did you get a chance to see him at all? Did you see him in action?
Yeah, I was actually there the week of his, was it the week of his fight or the week before his fight? I don't know. He was gearing up to
The
fight.
Costa fight. Okay,
Yeah,
right.
and he was getting ready for that fight. So he was in there for that time. And then this last time I went there, he was in Tokyo. So he was on vacation. But he's a character, man. And I've trained with him in the past in California, back before anybody knew who he was. He used to travel up and down the state with his coach, just training at different gyms. And he would pop into our little gym in the valley. And so I've seen him around a lot. And he wasn't loud like he was, but back then when he was like a teenager, he was like quiet kid, So it's cool to see though, man. I'm happy for his success, and he is a wild man, but I think I would rather somebody be like have things about them that aren't great, but at least they are who they are, and like they're real. Like, I think fake people are the worst, and so like, at least he's real, even though, love him or hate him or whatever. Like, at least he is who he is, and I'm sure he's learned and grown over the years too.
Totally agree. Sorry, and thank you for your time. Thank you for doing this. Just a few more for you. I'm curious. I mentioned Aljamain Sterling. He actually trained with Raul Rosas Jr., who's in your division, and I wanted to get your take on this because I'm 38. I think, you're in your mid 30s. So, and here's a kid who's 19 years old. He's in your division. You've spent time as a school teacher. You've been around teenagers and things like that. Would there be any sort of conflict in your mind if the UFC were to match you up with a kid who was 19 years old in UFC, or would it just be like, hey, this is my job, I have to do it?
Oh no, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Okay, good.
I didn't get to train with him, but he was there one of the sparring days I was there on one of my trips, and he was going hard too. Like, I was like, oh, this kid likes to. You could tell he's young. He's in there. He's slinging them. I was like, all right. I didn't get to go with him, but he's a tough kid, man. He actually was at Santa Rosa. He was at NorCal Fighting Alliance when he was a teenager. And that whole like thing he's got going. What's he like? The word that I don't know what it means.
Chihuihuis.
Wee
Yeah.
or whatever. So
Yeah.
apparently, because my brother used to live in Santa Rosa, and he ranked through jiu-jitsu at Dave Terrell's gym there at NorCal Fighting Alliance. And Dave Terrell, if people don't know, fought for the UFC belt at one time, and longtime Cesar Gracie guy, really tight with the Diaz brothers and stuff. And anyway, that's where he came from, which is a killer jiu-jitsu gym. So I'm sure he's a savage on the ground. He looks like one. I don't think his stand-up's that good. He hits hard, throws hard, but I don't think I think he's still needs to be polished. But yeah, if they match me up with him, that's a big fight just because of the name, and like the prospect, this young kid, and I'll fight anybody. So yeah, I don't care. They got to be 18, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, got to be 18. Last time I just want to get an update on that. Last time I think we talked, you said that you were going to sort of reevaluate what was going on because you were sort of, I know you're like part-time fighting, part-time teaching. Is that still the case? Or I know it's summer, so school is probably out. Have you any sort of update on that?
No, I mean, it's really depends on how this fight goes. I go out and I get the win, and it looks like I'm going to stick around and try to make a little run the last few years I got. Then I think I'm going to try to do it full time, but I'm not going to make that decision until July 21st.
Got it. I know I've asked about this before, but I have to ask about this just because it's probably one of the craziest stories of the year. Is your Ultimate Fighter coach, Michael Chandler, looked like he was finally going to get that fight, looked like it was finally going to happen. You guys did that whole season, the whole lead up, and then Conor pulls out with 3 weeks to go because he broke his toe. Were you surprised by that? Did you actually think the fight was going to go through? And what do you think Michael should do at this point?
I mean, I wasn't surprised the fight fell off. I think, maybe Conor wasn't ready. It looked like the toe thing was like the excuse they gave, but maybe it's true. Maybe he was like, you know what? I don't have to fight. I don't need the money. I'm going to be 100%. Or maybe he was doing extracurricular activities and felt like, shit, time's a ticking and the fight's coming up and I'm not going to be prepared. And so I don't know, but I feel bad for Chandler in a way, but at the same time, like if he gets the fight, it is what it is. And if he doesn't, I mean, he's talking about other big fights that are on the horizon or possible alternatives for him, which are all big fights. So he's in a good position to get a big fight, whether it be against like Holloway or Islam or whoever it is, whatever, Poirier, one of those big name guys. He's going to get a big fight. I think I'm trying to think of it from his perspective. Like, I don't think you necessarily make more money fighting Conor McGregor. They might give you a bump in your contract because it's a big fight. But I think that you're really resting your laurels on the idea that you're going to beat Conor McGregor. Because if you look at any guy who's beat McGregor, they blow up. Diaz blew up. Poirier, in a sense, blew up. Obviously Khabib, but he was already the champ. So I feel like Chandler,
he got bigger from it. You're absolutely right.
He's fighting McGregor not only because I think he thinks he could beat McGregor, but I think that he sees it as like, if I could beat him, like every payday is a big payday moving forward because I'm on a short list of guys who have beaten McGregor. So, I get it from his perspective of why he's waited out like he has. We'll see what happens, though. I don't know. I honestly don't. There's a lot of people under the impression that they don't think McGregor's ever going to come back.
Right.
So we'll wait and see. But I don't know how much longer he should wait if they're going to try to push it. And what seems to be the problem is that they don't have an event for him. They don't want to throw him on an event that they already have booked, and they don't have a major event. Like, to me, it doesn't make any sense for the Sphere.
I think that's what was going to happen, was that the Sphere was going to be a pay-per-view, and now there's speculation that they are changing the Sphere to just a fight night for Mexican Independence Day, and then they're going to, so that they can carve out time for UFC 306 for Conor. That's sort of like the theory out there right now. We'll see if that's the case, But everybody thought 306 was going to be the Sphere, and now it's just going to be a fight night with Riyadh Season, the Saudi Arabian company. So,
which is very strange. It's like Mexican Independence Day, but then it's named Riyadh. So
I know.
Not quite the theme we're going for.
It's very strange, but that's the theory, is that it was carved out specifically so that Conor could fight on 306. So we'll see what happens. But dude, I appreciate it so much. I want to end on this one. This is a little bit of a fun one. I did this with Sadabusi last week, so I want to do it with you. I like to do these little blind rankings, almost not a blind ranking, but I want you to design the perfect fighter for me. You get 5 categories. You get 1 name per category. All right. It's grappling, striking, power, cardio, and fight IQ. So if you were to design the perfect fighter, who would you put for grappling?
Khabib.
Striking.
Prime McGregor.
Power.
I mean, I've got to. If you go, obviously you can go to like a heavyweight.
Yeah.
Who's somebody who just has ridiculous power? I'll do. I'll go Joaquin Buckley with that spinning back kick knockout. That was nasty.
Oh, nice. Okay, I like that pick. Cardio.
Ooh, cardio. Who's a guy? I'm gonna go Darren Elkins.
Darren Elkins. I like that. All right. Fight IQ. This is my favorite one. Fight IQ.
Fight IQ. I'm gonna go Volkanovski. I know that his recent fights, he hasn't seemed to have a lot of IQ, but if you look at like his long battle fights, like his 5-rounders, like especially that second, or maybe it was the last time he fought Holloway where he really decisively won.
Yeah.
He's a tactician in there, man. He's thinking all the time. You could see it. And I think his mental game is underrated.
Totally agree. Cody Gibson, thank you so much, my man. Appreciate it. You're fighting Brian Kelleher at UFC Vegas 94. And where do you want to see yourself after this fight? What's next for Cody Gibson?
I got a name, and I want to go to Paris. I've wanted to go to Europe my whole life, and I'll book when they do the thing where they tell you like, okay, where do you want to fly out of? Where do you want to fly into? I'm going to tell them book my flight back for like a month later after
there you go.
The fight. So then I'll just backpack through Paris. That's the plan.
Dude, I did it when I was 25. I backpacked Europe. It's the best decision I ever made. It was like a month and a half. It was the best thing I ever did in my life.
But my plan is I'm bringing my wife and 3 kids to do it with me.
Right.
It's going to be
okay.
I'm sure that'll be challenging, but I think it'd be cool,
Yeah, but you, as a guy like you want to see all that history. That's where you go if you're a history guy. You want to see all of Europe. That's where you want to go. So, all right, man. Well, I hope you get a chance to do that, and I will absolutely be rooting for you, all right?
All right, Jesse. Good talking to you, man. Take care.